He seemed different. That was the thought that came first. He was patient where others had been impatient. He listened in a way that felt genuinely attentive rather than strategic. He said the right things at the right moments without seeming rehearsed. And somewhere underneath all of that, underneath the cautious warmth beginning to form, there was a quieter thought running parallel to all of it. A thought that never fully went away, no matter how good things felt. A thought that said, wait, watch. Do not let your guard down yet. Because here's why that second thought matters more than most people ever stop to examine honestly. The inability to fully trust men, even genuinely good ones, even ones who have done nothing wrong, is not bitterness, and it is not damage, and it is not a personality defect. It is a psychological architecture built by real experiences, encoded in the body, and running automatically below the level of conscious choice. Understanding where it comes from, what it costs in daily life, what it quietly protects, and how it shapes every relationship a woman walks into. That understanding is the difference between living inside a pattern and finally being able to see it clearly from the outside. There is a specific way this gets talked about when it gets talked about at all. People use words like jaded, bitter, damaged, man-hater. They say it like a diagnosis, like something in this woman broke somewhere along the way, and the distrust is the visible evidence of the fracture. Friends get frustrated when their reassurances do not land. Partners feel punished for things they did not do, and the woman herself is often caught in a private exhaustion. Wanting to believe, trying to believe, and finding that the part of her that cannot simply will not comply, no matter how hard she pushes it. What almost never gets said is that this is not a character failure. It is not a choice being made each morning. It is a deeply intelligent response to a pattern of experience that the mind and body recorded carefully and are now trying to prevent from repeating. The label misses the entire structure underneath, and without understanding the structure, nothing changes. What we are actually talking about is one of the most psychologically complex relationship patterns that researchers in trauma, attachment, and cognitive behavioral science have documented. The generalized distrust of an entire group based on accumulated individual experiences with members of that group. Specifically in the context of women who have reached a point where doubt precedes every male interaction, regardless of individual evidence. This is not about all men being untrustworthy. It is not a political statement. It is a documented cognitive and emotional adaptation that develops under very specific psychological conditions. And it is almost never explained correctly to the women living inside it or to the people who love them. Cognitive psychology has a term for what the brain does when it encounters repeated negative patterns involving the same category of people or situations. It is called schema formation. A schema is essentially a mental shortcut, a deeply embedded belief structure the brain builds from accumulated experience to help it predict what will happen next and respond accordingly before conscious thought can catch up. Research from Beck Institute on cognitive schemas in relationship contexts found that when negative experiences with men accumulate past a certain threshold, betrayal, dishonesty, emotional unavailability, manipulation, or harm, the brain stops evaluating each new man as an individual and begins running him through the existing schema automatically. The question the brain is asking is no longer who is this person. The question becomes what category does this person fall into and what has that category historically done? This is not irrationality. This is the brain doing what it was designed to do. Protect the person carrying it from future harm by applying past learning to present situations. The schema runs faster than logic. It runs faster than attraction. It runs faster than a conscious decision to give someone a fair chance. And it produces doubt not because the woman is choosing to doubt, but because the pattern recognition system built to keep her safe is doing its job precisely as it was trained. This architecture was almost never built all at once. For most women carrying this pattern, it was constructed layer by layer across years, sometimes beginning much earlier than any adult relationship. Research on early attachment and gender-based trust consistently shows that a significant portion of women who develop generalized male distrust in adulthood had their foundational understanding of men shaped by male figures in childhood who were absent, inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or harmful in ways that ranged from subtle to severe. A father who left and never explained why. A male authority figure whose behavior communicated that protection was conditional. A household where the women absorbed more than they were ever given back. Each of those experiences did not just leave an emotional mark. They left a neurological instruction. The developing brain of a child is precision learning machine, recording information about how the world operates and who can be counted on within it. When the earliest and most formative male relationships communicated inconsistency or harm, the brain built its foundational schema accordingly. And then adult experiences, the first serious relationship where he lied, the one after that where he disappeared, the one after that where the pattern repeated in a new form. Each of those did not create a new belief from scratch. They confirmed and deepened a belief that was already quietly waiting to be proven right. The body keeps its own record of all of this. Long after specific memories fade, the nervous system holds the accumulated conclusion. And that conclusion is what activates when a new man enters the room, smiles too easily, says exactly the right thing. This deserves to be said without any qualification attached to it. Doubting men after repeated experiences that justify doubt is not a moral failing. It is not superiority. It is not bitterness masquerading as wisdom. And it is equally true that not every woman who has experienced pain develops this pattern. And not every woman who carries this pattern experiences dramatic trauma. People process identical experiences through entirely different nervous systems shaped by entirely different early environments. There is no hierarchy in that observation. There is no right way to have responded to whatever this person went through. The pattern simply is what it is. A mind doing its best to protect the person inside it using the information it was given. No side of this is better. No response to pain is the correct one. Here is the layer that very few people reach when they think about this pattern. The counterintuitive part. Women who carry generalized male distrust are often, not always, but significantly often, among the most perceptive readers of male behavior in any room. Because the schema is active and scanning, they notice inconsistencies faster than people who are not running the same alert system. They catch the micro-shift between what someone says and what their body communicates. They feel the change in a dynamic before it becomes visible to anyone else. They recognize the particular texture of performed sincerity versus actual sincerity with unusual accuracy. That perceptiveness is real. It was developed in the service of self-protection, and it functions as advertised. The paradox is this: the very system built to keep them safe from harm also keeps them at a measured distance from genuine connection when genuine connection finally arrives. Because the schema does not distinguish between a man who has earned distrust and a man who has not yet had the chance to earn trust. It applies to both with equal efficiency. The hidden strength and the quiet cost live in exactly the same place, and that is the tension that makes this pattern one of the most genuinely difficult to live inside. Not because the woman is broken, but because the tool she built is too precise to turn off selectively. If you recognize yourself in any part of this, here is what is simply and plainly true. You are not broken. You are not incapable of love or connection or trust. You are not condemned to carry this weight into every relationship for the rest of your life because of what previous relationships left behind. The schema was built from real evidence. It has been protecting you with real efficiency. And the fact that it sometimes fires when it does not need to is not evidence of damage. It is evidence of a system that was never given enough contradicting data to update its conclusions. Your experience makes complete sense from the inside out. The doubt is not irrational. The guard is not excessive given what built it. And understanding that the pattern is a learned response rather than a permanent truth about who you are is the first time most women in this experience have been able to look at it without shame sitting underneath the looking. If you want to begin creating space inside that pattern, not dismantling what has protected you, not forcing yourself into trust you have not yet earned evidence for, here is the one shift that actually moves something real. Start separating the feeling of danger from the evidence of danger. The next time doubt activates around a man who has not yet done anything to justify it, do not push the feeling away and do not act on it immediately. Simply notice it, name it internally. Say, "This is the pattern activating, not this specific person doing something wrong." That single distinction, practiced consistently, begins to create a gap between the automatic schema response and the conscious evaluation that follows it. You are not telling yourself everything is fine. You are giving yourself the space to find out whether it is. That gap is where something genuinely new becomes possible. If this reached something real in you, there is more worth understanding about how this pattern extends well beyond romantic relationships. It shapes how you navigate professional environments with male authority, how you receive help from men without immediately looking for the cost attached to it, and what happens inside you when a man is simply kind without an obvious motive. That territory is worth exploring honestly, and exploring it, not to fix yourself, but simply to understand yourself more fully, is the kind of thing that quietly changes what the rest of your life is able to hold.